The amount of alprazolam he had in his system 7 hours after the event was 160 nanograms per ml, obviously indicating that he was toxic still.
Now, when you say toxic, is that a term of art? What exactly does toxic mean in this context?
Intoxicated.
Okay. So that drug is toxic to him and that it makes him intoxicated. It's no longer just a therapeutic level.
That is correct.
If he purchased 8 to 10 Xanax at 6 p.m. the evening before, is this level at 9 a.m. the next morning consistent with him maybe having taken every single one of those?
Yes. What you have in the setting of someone ingesting Xanax is that when they get to a certain level where they've induced that anterograde amnesia, it's almost as if they are behaving like a patient with dementia. The characteristics of dementia are inability to remember what occurred in the recent past, so their short-term memory is impaired, and then they have an inability to learn because their short-term memory is impaired. So typically they would tend to confabulate, which means to make things up to fill in logical gaps.
So now you're not saying in this particular case that any particular statement Brandon Daniel made to the police is accurate or inaccurate. That's not what you're here to tell the jury about, correct?
That is correct. I'm just telling you that he was intoxicated at the time he gave his statement.
Would you describe Brandon Daniel's behavior based on the information you've received as being the behavior of an addict?
Absolutely.
And what do you base that on?
His history, his behavior, and his lab reports. 80% of people have lifestyle-induced disease, and 80% of those have an addiction, which I define as a pathologic relationship to a mood-altering substance, behavior, emotion, or relationship that results in life-damaging consequences. So typical examples would be, what's the #1 cause of cancer in both men and women? Lung cancer. Who gets lung cancer? People who smoke cigarettes. Yes, that's true.
So what is the potential for abuse and addiction of these benzodiazepine drugs?
Unfortunately, very high.
Specifically with respect to Xanax, are there any features of Xanax that cause it to be highly addictive?
You bet. Xanax is the #1 benzodiazepine on the street. It has a short half-life. It's highly crosses the blood-brain barrier readily, and it delivers quite a punch.
Is that what you mean when you say it has a short half-life, it delivers quite a punch?
You bet.
What is the therapeutic use then of a fast-acting sedative hypnotic like Xanax? What would doctors use it for?
Panic disorder.
Why is that?
Well, because when a patient is having a panic attack, it is an overwhelming fear response, and it's characterized by rapid breathing, rapid heartbeat. There can be the sensation of chest pain. There's a feeling of impending doom. The patient will describe depersonalization, which means that they don't feel like themselves, or derealization, which is they're disconnected from reality.
Let me stop you. You're describing panic disorder now, right?
Yes, and so when we give alprazolam or Xanax, it kicks in rapidly and calms them down.
What is the effect on that person?
They're using it to get high. The high from Xanax would be similar to alcohol intoxication.
And does that have to do with the neurotransmitters it activates in the brain, or why is that?